So these two clowns taking pictures at the bottom of the ocean? Don't get too attached to them. Something tells me that photo was their last one. But our actual hero is Martin Brody, chief of police on Amity Island. His story begins at a fundraiser organized by his wife Ellen. Brody has two sons. This little devil here is Sean and the older one is Mike. Mike's friend Brooke is trying to talk him into a blind date with her cousin, but he's not too excited about it. That's gonna change completely the next morning. Her cousin Jackie arrives at the docks and all the boys stop what they're doing to take a look at the new girl.
Larry, look! What? Look at her!
Chief Brody's also there talking to Deputy Hendricks about an abandoned cruiser in the main channel. It seems to belong to a couple of rich guys who were diving in the area. Their camera was found under the vessel, but there's no sign of them. See? I told you not to get attached.
Happy to do it.
Meanwhile, Tina's making out with her boyfriend Ed when they hear a boat near the beach. It's a couple of girls from out of town and they are water skiing. Tina gets excited and tries to convince Ed they should go skiing as well. None of them notices the sneaky fin approaching the boat. Suddenly, the skiing girl is gone and her friend starts calling her name. When she picks up the empty ski, still wondering what happened, a huge shark comes out of the blue and bites off a piece of the boat. The girl on the boat tries to fight off the shark with all the stuff she has at hand, but that ends up causing an explosion. Ed and Tina are shocked to see that, and Nana goes inside quickly to get help. And help means Chief Brody and his very lazy Deputy Hendricks. All they have by now is the witnesses' accounts and some pieces of the burned boat. He tells Hendricks to keep looking until they find them, no matter how long it takes.
I don't care. I want you to stay on it as long as it takes.
So Hendricks takes an older sailor with him, and many hours later, they're both bored to death. But then they pull in something really heavy, and we can see the little courage they ever had vanishes in a second. Luckily for them, it's just a power line. They drop it back quickly to avoid a blackout.
Drop it! It's a power line!
Meanwhile, one more item's about to be added to Brody's list of growing problems.
Something going on I shouldn't know about?
What?
It seems like our girl Tina is something like a serial witness. Here she is, happily playing on the sand until she suddenly jumps right next to a horrid scene. It's a killer whale washed ashore, and it has been attacked by something way bigger than itself.
It's because I hear the bites are big, really big.
Brody is soon at the scene with the expert, Miss Elkins, and this is where we learn about Brody's past. He's dealt with a shark before, and that had not ended well for some people he was supposed to protect.
7.5 meters.
The trauma is so deep that this full-grown man actually asks the expert lady if it is possible that this shark is seeking revenge for the other one. The woman calmly explains to him that sharks don't tend to take things personally, especially not being a person and all.
Sharks don't take things personally, Mr. Brody.
She also says there's too little evidence to rule out other animals, maybe even another killer whale. But this lady is no match for a man's obsession. Brody tells his son, Mike, that there's no more sailing at all. Then he goes directly to town hall to warn the mayor.
Are you serious?
But he says he's just been on the phone with Miss Elkins and there's no conclusive evidence. Also, no one has even seen a shark whatsoever. None of this justifies any kind of bad press to the island at the very beginning of high season.
You just remember this conversation. You just remember it.
Driving by the beach on his way home, Brody spots something odd afloat and decides to go check. It's another piece from the tourist's boat, the one that was water skiing. But that's not all. Brody also finds the tourist herself. The next thing we see is Brody messing around with sodium cyanide, candle wax, and a handful of bullets. The man is ready to rock and roll. He covers his little experiment when Hendricks comes snooping.
Might be something in it.
Yeah, right.
He tells him to check out the diver's camera and send the film to a guy named Fogarty. Always an endless pit of laziness, Hendricks says it's too late in the day to go there.
Why not now?
It's too late.
He'll do it first thing in the morning, which, for Hendricks, could be just about anything before dusk. Brody grabs his stuff in a messy bundle and goes home.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Brody goes home and tells Mike he's not to take his boat out under any circumstances. As if that wasn't enough to infuriate the kid, Brody also adds he has found a job for him.
I got something for you to do tomorrow.
A job that will keep him very busy the entire summer. Ellen seems to think that's too much, but she's too tired to argue with her husband.
Hey, that's all the summer.
In the morning, Mayor Vaughn and Len Peterson are showing the beauty of Amity beaches to a group of high-profile investors.
I wanted you to really see was the concession area.
Ellen is also there, doing her best to impress her boss and the money people. They are all delighted to see the crowded beach completely covered in summer joy. Well, not completely. Up on the observation tower, Brody is surrounded by an aura of impending doom. A nosy lady tells Ellen he's been there all morning, observing the beachgoers.
For Christ's sake.
His son Mike is also observing. He's looking at his date, Jackie, having the time of her life on another boy's boat while he's here painting a stupid wall under the scorching sun. But Mike's anger is nothing compared to Mayor Vaughn's.
Brody's riding his tower.
When he sees Brody up there, Len decides to shove the rich people back into the van before they get suspicious, but it's too late for that. One of the ladies brings her annoying little daughter who has a question. She wants to ask why there's a man up on the shark tower.
He's looking for sharks.
Instead of telling the brat that it's just a precaution, or maybe even admitting that Brody's an older cop with a couple of loose screws, the idiot says that tower is meant for bird watching.
He's watching, a lookout.
The lady's not buying it, of course. Up on the shark tower, something seems to catch Brody's eye. It's a shark-shaped shadow, and it's not too far from all the people with their kids. So Brody decides to ring the doomsday bell and scream at everyone to get out of the water. People start screaming and running in horror. Not because of the shark, of course, but because of the madman waving a loaded gun in their faces. Not even waiting until everyone has left the water, Brody fires his gun repeatedly at the dark shape. To his complete horror, the shadow turns out to be just a school of bluefish.
Just bluefish!
He has ruined the summer morning for all these families for no good reason. Not to mention, he's just cried wolf.
It's okay!
In the evening, the chief stays a bit longer at his dark office. This private little pity party gets cut short by a phone call that gets to light up his face again.
You're kidding. I'll be right over.
It's Fogarty, and he's calling about the photographs from the diver's camera.
Phil, don't jerk me around. What else have you got?
Brody's mood is instantly improved at the possibility of obtaining undeniable proof.
That's it. That's the one.
With a firm grasp on the envelope with the pictures, Brody storms into the town hall. He can see he's interrupting an official meeting.
I'm glad you're all here. I've got something to show you. Look at this.
This is it. This is the moment of truth. This is all the proof they need. What is this exactly? Someone asks if they're looking at seaweed. Someone else says it could be an octopus. The truth is, the photograph is very blurred, and Brody's the only person who can clearly see a shark.
Sorry, I just don't see it.
Neither do I. It's nothing.
Mayor Vaughn asks him to take a seat while they have a better look at the pictures, in private.
Please just have a seat.
Meanwhile, all the kids are mocking poor Mike over his nutty dad and his lame job painting stuff. Mayor Vaughn's son is there too. He's inviting everyone for a picnic tomorrow at the lighthouse. Jackie comes closer to Mike to say she wants to see him there. He says he's been grounded and forbidden to go sailing. Jackie asks him if he always obeys his dad like a little toddler. Now Mike has no choice but to disobey.
Good, then I'll be at the dock at 8.
When Brody gets home, Hendrix is waiting for him with Ellen. They've just heard the news. Brody's no longer chief of police. He's been fired over his manic behavior in the morning. And now, the photo fiasco. Very sadly for the people of Amity, the new chief is Hendrix.
This is going to look better on you than on me.
Mike is trying to sneak out early, but his little brother wants to come along. He says no way. So Sean needs to be a bit more convincing and starts to raise his voice dangerously.
Michael.
Mike gives in and brings Sean with him. At the docks, the kids decide who's going on which boat. Mike succeeds in dumping Sean with a girl named Marge, while he gets to take Jackie with himself and Andy.
Hey, I thought you said she was coming with us.
Brooke surprisingly agrees to go with a nerdy boy named Timmy. A bit further from the shore, a large group is diving for lobsters when one of them has a big surprise. He rushes to the surface and gets back on the boat with the help of others. Back at Brody's, he thinks Mike's not there because he must be working. Ellen says Sean must be playing. Neither of them suspects anything. Brody says he's got to return the truck, but he can still drive Ellen to work today.
Have a nice day.
And then, who do we have here? It's the crime scene couple, Tina and Ed. Above the Tina's joy, the two lovebirds have broken out from the pack. That's not really a problem for them until there's a violent bump from below that knocks Ed off the boat. That's when Tina sees the menacing fin coming at a high speed.
Jesus.
She screams for Ed to hurry. He swims as fast as he can, but not fast enough. The shark gets to him before he can get to the boat. He seems to vanish from the surface, and Tina's confused for a moment. Then he grabs the side of the boat and tries to get back on, only to get pulled into the water. The waves around Tina's joy are starting to turn red.
Go away.
While Brody's driving his wife to work, he can't help but follow the sound of the sirens. Ellen kindly reminds him that this is not his job as of yesterday, but he ignores that. He says he just wants to take a look.
I know, I just want to take a look.
It's the diver. The medic says he has air bubbles in his bloodstream from coming up to the surface too fast. His friend says that he knows better than doing that. Something must have scared him badly down there. Now that is just music to Brody's ears. He asks for more details and Hendrik starts talking, accidentally revealing he had seen Mike earlier.
Peters, Jackie, Mike.
Brody panics and rushes to the docks. He jumps into the police boat. To Hendrik's despair, he can't let Brody take it as he's no longer in the force. So he quickly concludes that they won't dare to fire him today because someone's got to be chief. So it's all good. And off they go. Brody radios patrol asking for help, turning the sailing kids back to port.
I want you to get the chopper out to the lighthouse.
A few minutes later, they spot an empty boat. It's the Tina's Joy, and it's not looking very joyful. But when Brody hops aboard to take a closer look, it turns out it's not really empty. Curled tight into a fetal position, Tina is so terrified she can barely speak. But the moment she does, she finally says the magic word. There's a huge mean shark out there. Brody signals to the patrol ship and tells Tina she'll go with them.
That boat's gonna take you in.
The teen sailors are mocking a boy who's having some technical problems.
Hey, Bly, someone pop your balloon?
That's suddenly not so funny when the boy's boat has an unexpected visitor with very sharp teeth. The boy instantly becomes an Olympic swimmer. He does much better than poor Ed, but soon after he reaches the other boat, it gets toppled upside down. What happens next is complete chaos. Mike hits his head and passes out. A bunch of kids fall into the water and pieces of destroyed boats are damaging the others. That's too much even for the shark. But once they settle down for a moment, they see Mike is still out there, unconscious. Everyone panics. Timmy gets his boat closer to him and basically pulls the boy out of the shark's mouth. As they start to regroup and assess the damages, Timmy decides to take Mike to a doctor and sails away.
We gotta get Mike to a doctor!
It seems like his boat is the only one that can still function properly. Air Patrol seems to be totally ghosting Brody on the radio, but at least the guy up on the chopper finally spots the kids. He lands on the surface and steps out with a loudspeaker telling them they'll be towed until Cable Junction. The kids are very happy and relieved, but unfortunately they're also incredibly dumb. Not one of them thinks it could be a good idea to mention the shark to this poor man whose life's about to come to an end. Sure enough, here's Mr. Shark again. The pilot can barely register what's happening, and it's bye-bye to the cool chopper. The shark starts to mess with the kids until a couple of them fall off, including Sean. Marge rushes to save the boy and manages to get him back to relative safety. But she doesn't have the same luck herself. The kids are totally shocked to see she's gone. Meanwhile, our hero is still talking to a dead radio, far from all the action. But that's about to change when he sees Timmy's boat approaching. Mike is awake again and he tries to apologize. Brody starts off very understanding until the part about Sean being there too. He immediately starts sailing towards Cable Junction.
It's all right, forget it now. Just get to the lighthouse.
Frustrated with the inability to move, the kids start paddling with their arms until Andy reminds them of the obvious. Do not stick your limbs in the water if there's a massive shark around. Jackie's not catatonic anymore. She freaks out and starts screaming that the shark is coming for them. Some kids get mad at her and others try to defend her until they all shut up and listen.
It's coming towards us!
There's a boat coming. Sean recognizes his dad, and now they're all happy again, jumping up and down on the fragile debris they've been trying to use as a raft. Brody gets his boat alongside them and throws them a rope, but guess who shows up to bite it right in the middle? Losing control of the launch, Brody crashes onto the island.
I'm all right, hold on.
They're all trying to figure out a strategy. And then here is Sharky. Finally, Brody realizes the only way out of this is dealing with the shark first. He starts smacking a power line with a paddle until he gets the attention desired, ignoring the screaming kids yelling him to run away. The shark comes right in his direction at full swing, and Brody drops the power line right into that giant mouth, frying the beast completely. Then, he finally gets to hug his little son. Sean looks at him with the most innocent face ever and swears that the teens made him come along. And this is the end. This was a recap of the 1978 movie Jaws 2 by Universal Pictures, starring Roy Scheider and Lorraine Gary. So which child would you give up for adoption first, Mike or Sean? Just kidding. Who do you think is to blame for the whole thing in Amity? Brody's obsession or the mayor's blind greed? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.